Why are you in New York? What is the significance of your trip?
Well, Vivek and I are trying to do is give people in New York enough information to make better decisions. This idea that the center of capitalism, New York City, is going to elect a socialist that wants to defund the police, eliminate opportunity, open up a city-run grocery store, is okay, is anti-Semitic. I mean, socialism is horrible for everybody. So what we're trying to up here to do is just get people to think about this race and how bad it's going to be for New York City. Now, more people are going to move to Florida, right? More people are going to move to Ohio, right? But is it good for the people that are stuck in New York?
One second,
no,
Senator.
It's not good for the people.
Yeah, we have to just segue for a second here. Please continue and finish that thought.
Well, it's just that it's bad for a country that the center of capitalism has somebody that wants to get rid of the police. They're going to continue to make under socialism. New York City will be an impossible place other than for billionaires. What he's going to do on housing, he wants to put a cap on rent. Well, that means if you own the building, are you going to put any more capital in? So I lived in public housing growing up. Who grows up in public housing and say, boy, this is where I want to be the rest of our life, right? Public housing doesn't work so long term. And this place is going to become a disaster. It's going to be scary to be in New York City. And so I hope they come to their senses and elect a capitalist.
Vivek, it looks as if the odds-on favorite are that Zohran is going to win. Why is that? I mean, you are a political expert in some ways. You've run for president. You're going to be the governor of Ohio. What is the appealing element of Zohran Mamdani?
Well, you and I talked about this when you visited Ohio, Charlie, which was a great visit you had. I mean, I think that part of this is a wake-up call also for Republicans to understand we can't just sweep the issues he's talking about under the rug. It's that his solutions are completely harebrained. But you think about the affordability crisis, it is real, especially for a lot of young people. Think about home ownership getting outside the reach of being able to afford as a 30 or 35-year-old, even if you're working hard and playing by the rules. Is that a real problem? Yes, it is. But how are we going to fix it? It isn't through rent controls. It's through increasing the supply of housing, cutting through the red tape that stops new home construction, land use restrictions that stop new home construction. That's the kind of solutions that we need to be talking about. And so I do think it's a kind of wake-up call for Republicans. The same thing. What's the difference between the wealthy and everybody else? I mean, we're sitting here in New York City today, but across the country, including New York City, what's the difference between wealthy and anybody else? Whether you own an asset that compounds. You got to get that started at a young age. Young people are going to turn towards socialism if they feel like they don't have skin in the game, like they feel like they don't actually own assets that they watch somebody else becoming a billionaire off of. But the better solution to that is let's start with financial literacy. Let's start with parents putting away $10,000 in the S&P 500 at a young age. Every kid is going to be a millionaire if every parent does that for their kid on the day they're born. And is there a role for the government to play to potentially create incentives in that? I'm open to it. And so I think we got to think about the future of capitalism, which I embrace wholeheartedly. I think it's the best system known to the history of man to lift people up from poverty, and we shouldn't apologize for it. But how do we create capitalism that everybody's actually able to enjoy the upside of? And I think that increases our long-run commitments to capitalism rather than socialism. And that's the conversation we need to be having on the right as well. And so, as Senator Scott said, we're here to inform people, hey, hopefully they can vote for the right person in the ballot box. But if not, inform them of alternatives. Come to Ohio. When I'm governor, frankly, you got a lot of conservative-minded, common sense, rational, patriotic people in New York. Yes, they do exist in big numbers. And many of them are going to, unfortunately, have to choose to leave. And I want them to come to places like Ohio, where I'm leading, hopefully back to the leadership position of the country. But when we think about the country as a whole, one of our learnings as conservatives, as Republicans, is that we too ought to be talking about the affordability crisis because we're the ones that actually have the solutions to address it. But that's what we got to step up and do instead of just sweeping it under the rug, especially for young people who I think are really tuned into these questions of participating in the upside of capitalism and affordability, which I'm all in favor of.
Let's go to this cut right here. This is Zohran Mamdani. He says he's a transformed man. Play cut 299.
Many of my opponents, chiefly Andrew Cuomo, would prefer to debate a mythical version of myself than the person that I actually am. They would prefer to focus on tweets from 2020 as opposed to the platform of 2025.
What you're really saying is that those tweets of 2020, you've evolved from that. You've changed from that. You've changed your views.
Yes, that those are out of step with the campaign that we are running. And it's been clear throughout.
Out of step with how you feel.
Yes.
So
yes.
You've totally changed your mind.
Yes.
Okay.
Senator Rick Scott, is he a changed man, Senator Scott?
What a joke. I mean, listen to what people say. I mean, this is what the guy believes. He believes in his heart. Oh, but it won't work for a campaign. He did a poll. That won't work for the campaign. So don't trust, don't worry about what I said before and how I've acted in my life. Look at what I'm running on, because that's all I want you to think about. Now I'll go back to where I really am as soon as I get elected. I mean, what a joke. Don't trust somebody like that. And by the way, if he can take, I love the police today, but I hated them yesterday, and you trust them, you have to be an idiot to believe that.
So Vivek, let's play another piece of tape here. Let's go to cut 305.
We've seen that Donald Trump views the law as a suggestion. He believes that it's something that he's above, and what he's showing is that he's willing to utilize any tool, whether those real or imagined, to try and shape this race. We are confident that no matter what formulation this race takes, whether it's me versus three candidates or me one-on-one with any one of them, we'll win the race. But what we cannot stand is the affront to democracy and the idea that it is a president who can pick the next mayor of the city and not the people of that same city.
Vivek, your response.
Well, look, I mean, he's using this to his advantage. He's clearly a skilled politician. He has a completely boneheaded wrong policy ideas, but he's trying to use everything in his favor to really goad the New York electorate into putting him into office. And frankly, that's the dominant odds of what's going to happen. But the bigger picture, forget the horse race of this particular mayoral election. I do think that sometimes, sadly, a country, a great nation like ours, needs to actually learn the lessons of what the alternative looks like. And unfortunately, if he is elected, which I'm not rooting for, but if he is elected, let us at least use it as a country to learn the lesson. The best way to combat the popularity of socialism is probably for people to try what the fruits of socialist policy really are. That's probably what's coming to New York City if he's elected. The good news is we still have our system of federalism. People can pack their bags and move. Like I said before, I'll say it again. We're going to make Ohio a haven for people who share the values of this country, including capitalism, to come thrive. But every once in a while, there comes a time where if people really lose their way, Thomas Jefferson said it well, the government we elect is the government we deserve. And if that's what New York City elects, then in some sense, it's a lesson that deserves to be learned for the country. And I hope some good still comes out of it. So I'm not rooting for that outcome, but if that's where we're headed, frankly, I don't think engineering some other alternative outcome is the answer. It's actually true learnings of the deep lessons underneath. And just think about the sad reality also that the entire country, I've even been meeting old friends in New York City who would have never voted for Andrew Cuomo in years, are now praying that it's Andrew Cuomo. I mean, look at where we are. He's a guy who got rid of cash bail. He's a guy who was opposed to fracking, who was against nuclear energy, and he is somehow the savior that everyone is praying and hoping for. Think about where we are and what that says about where New York City is, and in some measure, even where certain directions of our country's currents are headed. We got to turn that ship around in a bigger way. And I think it's going to be deeper than just, messing around with the horse racing of this particular election in one mayor of one city that matters. This is a symptom of a deeper issue in our country. And I think the only way we're going to get around it is reviving the ideals that made our country great the first time. Meritocracy, the pursuit of greatness, the rule of law, bring it back, don't apologize. That's who we are. And I think that's really the moral of the story at the end of this.
Senator Scott, final thoughts on Zohran Mamdani, who looks to continue to be on pace to be the next mayor of New York City.
I don't know one person that's moved from Venezuela that's a socialist. I don't know one person that's moved from Cuba and Florida that's a socialist. So people have lived under socialism. No, it's really bad. Now, ultimately, it only ends up in everybody being broke. And so if you want people to have the opportunity like Vivek had, I had, you had, to live our dream, it's all tied to capitalism. It's all tied to opportunity and freedom. So I hope New York comes to their senses. I hope this doesn't happen to them. But there's going to be bastions of opportunity, and that's going to be Ohio and Florida.
Senator Rick Scott and Vivek Ramaswamy, thank you so much, and keep up the great work. Thank you both.